What is going on, everybody? Travis with Travis's Comic Haven here, bringing you another interview with Mr. Cory Byrd of Bird's Eye View Comics. Just to preface this, we had technical difficulties in our last interview, and I'm sorry for that. So, Cory was gracious enough to come back a week later, and we are going to talk about the two books that he is responsible for underneath the title and umbrella of Bird's Eye View Comics, and that is Shadow Knight and Tooth and Nail. So, Cory, welcome back. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you
Well,
so much for having me, Travis. I'm really glad to come back.
so, give us a little breakdown of what you've been up to since we talked last. Did you have any projects you've been working on? Any publishing stuff that we should know about since we talked last Monday?
Yeah, we just released this Monday the newsletter, the Bird's Eye View Insider
Yes.
newsletter. I believe that you probably received one
Hmm.
as well. So, what we did is that we put together a newsletter that we'll be releasing monthly. Thanks to Shane Hunt. He did a lot of hard work. He's the artist and creator of Ugly, and he put the newsletter together. We all, a couple of us did articles in it with artwork and everything like that. And the way to get the newsletter, we post on social media, and if you make a comment, we send you a link to sign up, and then we email it to you every month. So if anybody's interested, please comment on this video or look us up on Instagram or Facebook, and you could be part of our newsletter.
Sweet, sweet.
Yeah.
Yep, I did get the first newsletter, so very excited for you in doing that and being able to have that extra branch out of letting us know what's going on with the stories and everything. Well, I'm all about business, so let's get to it. Um, let's go ahead and get to talking about Shadow Knight, because Shadow Knight was the first book that you did. So we are going to talk about it. Well, you are going to talk about it. I'm going to be here listening and then pondering and asking other questions for you as we go on with this. So the floor is yours, sir. Go ahead and tell us how Shadow Knight became and what it is and where you'd like to see it go.
Yeah, so Shadow Knight was first created in the early 2000s. It was a project that I put together and worked with another group before I formed Bird's Eye View Comics called Quality Quill. And I think, I'm trying to remember, I think I did 3 issues. Yeah, I did 3 issues of that. We did it in like these mini comic forms back then. And we printed it from a printer. We did stuff when we had the IMAX, when we were putting together on our iMac back in the day with the colorful back and everything.
Oh, the
And
big boy.
yeah, we put that book together like that. It's not just that one, but it was other books that we did as well. But it was crazy, putting that together. But that was around this time that I first presented at a convention, and that was when Wizard World was around
Hmm.
during that time. And we presented, I think, twice at Wizard World, from what I recall, and it was a blast. It was a really good time to do it. The first book of Shadow Knight, the mini book, I wish I should have had a copy of it with me so I could show it on the camera. But I still have the first issue of it. I should have all three, but I don't know if I can find it right now. It's probably buried somewhere. It shouldn't be. But yeah, that was the first time I was published, self-published under Quality Quill, and I did the artwork for it and part of the story. I was working with another writer for that. And then after Quality Quill, kind of, we didn't really go any further with it and everything like that. Shadow Knight was kind of put on the back burner. I was doing, drawings here and there. And it's funny, it's this kind of a segue into Tooth and Nail, but I won't go into that segue because we're going to talk about Tooth and Nail. So when I decided to recreate Shadow Knight, my brother, of all people, was saying, "Dude, Shadow Knight was so awesome. You got to bring that back." And so I was like, "I don't have time. I'm working on Tooth and Nail." So I'm like, "I don't know how I'm going to do this." So I decided to hire 2 artists to work on 0 and 0.5. So the cover that you're looking at right now is 0. And it's only 6 pages. It's an ash can, and then the second one is only an ash can, 0.5. The first artist was Noah Weber, who I wrote the script, sent it to him. He did the artwork for this book. I did the cover for this book, and he did the rest. And then after that, I said, well, I'm gonna do 0.5. Hired another artist to work on that one, Chris Booth. Both artists are fantastic. They were really great artists and great to work with. Another ash can, six pages. So I figured, okay, I get 0.5. I got to do number one. So I decided to do number one this year. I finished up Tooth and Nail 10. So I was like, okay, I'm going to work on Shadow Knight now. I'm going to do the first issue of Shadow Knight, release it next year, and then jump back into Tooth and Nail. So Shadow Knight is not going to be like, it's an ongoing series, but it's not going to be anything that's going to come out consistently because I'm not I can't be directly involved in it because I've worked on Tooth and Nail for so long, and I can't just leave that hanging. So Shadow Knight is like an in between type project that I decided to do after I do a series of Tooth and Nail.
So with that, what give us a little breakdown of Shadow Knight in 0 and point 0.5. What can readers expect, as in character building? Who is Shadow Knight? What problems is he going to face? Stuff like that.
Oh yeah, so this is like a post-apocalyptic world. It's kind of cyberpunky to it, maybe like an early stage of before, like the bright neon colors and stuff like that. And I decided to go in that route because the original Shadow Knight wasn't that way. It was a post-apocalyptic world, but it wasn't like a cyberpunk. But I really like cyberpunk. I love Blade Runner. I love Cyberpunk 2077, the game. I've always had like a love for Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that. So I really wanted to kind of go that route with it because I really enjoyed that kind of aesthetic. I don't know how much I can draw on that aesthetic, but I try to do it. So Shadow Knight is based in that time period, and he is a mysterious character who does not really know who he is. He even says it in the book. I don't know who I am, but I know what I can do. And so he's an assassin for a secret organization called Knife. And so he does these missions in this world to take out down certain syndicates that have taken over parts of the city, so that when he takes those syndicates down, the organization goes in and rehabilitates those areas. So every time he does an assassination, take out these groups of people, the organization fixes it up afterwards. So, but he is still a mysterious character to himself. He doesn't even really understand who he is and everything. And I have ideas of where I'm going to go with that. I haven't figured out exactly what, but I just wanted to keep him like a mysterious character who has these skills, doesn't understand why he has these skills. He doesn't remember being trained. He doesn't even really remember being born or, and growing up as a kid or anything like that. But he's just this badass assassin that could be able to take people out and everything. So that's kind of like where I'm at with it right now. So right now he's taking down certain, the first book he takes down a one syndicate, and then the second one he's in a training facility, um, where he's fighting like these android robots, and then the number one is he's going after another syndicate that he is briefed on at the end of 0.5.
So moving forward, is each issue going to be him fighting a different syndicate,
Yes.
or is there ever going to be a time where all of these independent syndicates are potentially underneath one umbrella and he ends up spending multiple issues going after the quote unquote big guy?
Yeah, I mean that's why I kind of figured it'll lead to like this, big boss situation. So if you take care of the little syndicates, you can go after the big one. But the knife organization hasn't informed him about the big one. He just knows to take care of these little groups and everything. And this is a world where it's like they are hybrids of cybernetics, human, and animal. So they're all mixed into this different characters are actually human with cybernetics, or they're just regular humans, or they're animal hybrids that are mixed with cybernetics and humans. So that's the kind of thing I was kind of going with. So like as I'm drawing this, is like some of my characters, like some of the like the new ones that's in number one are hyenas, and they're part of the pack. So they have cybernetics on them and everything, and I can't get away from drawing like anthropomorphic creatures. I don't know why I can't do it, because I just love it so much. So these characters are anthropomorphic, but they're also mixed with cybernetics and everything. So the challenges that he has to go through are, of course, himself trying to find out who he is, and then these creatures or people that he fights, they are, cyborgs, and they're some of them can be strong, some of them going to be crafty, some of them can be smart. He's going to run into. So right now he is at the lower level fighting some of the lower level cybernetic criminals and everything. And then as he grows more, it's going to get more and more like tough for him to fight. So the number one issue is where he's fighting the hyenas, half hyenas pack, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to end it where he takes out the leader, or it's going to go into another issue. Because I'm taking my time with it. I'm kind of building up the
Mhm.
world and building up the characters and everything.
So you may have touched on it because I know you mentioned cyberpunk. So what avenues are you drawing your inspiration from for the character, for the villains? Is it a particular book that you've read or you grew up reading? Is it a particular video game? What are you pulling from, and what from that are you pulling from to design this?
So Shadow Knight himself is loosely based on Gray Fox from Metal Gear Solid. If you ever played that game before, I love that character, even though he's barely in it and everything. But I think he's awesome, and I'm just a sucker for ninjas. So anytime I see a ninja character, I kind of like just gravitates towards them. But he's kind of like loosely based on that, and then a little bit of Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden. Um, has a little bit of that feel to him as well. So those are the video game, inspirations and stuff. I think the world itself is more built around like Blade Runner, um, and Ghost in the Shell. So that's kind of like how I created this world, and had the inspirations for those, especially, Gray Fox. And I think Gray Fox is like the number one thing that I said, oh, I want a character like that, and I kind of created that. And I've had people say, looked at Shadow Knight like he looks like Snake Eyes from GI Joe. You got that from? I had no vision of Snake Eyes in my mind when I created him. It just happened to go that way. So and a lot of people tell me that, and I'm like, no, that's not where I got the idea from. So I've tried to like redesign him so he doesn't look as much as Snake Eyes, but the you know I don't know. It just I can't help it. It is that, because I love the way I designed him, I made him and everything. I've actually redesigned him several times. Like this Shadow Knight you see here is different. One, it looks different in the book of this book, and then the second one, Chris Booth kind of did his own design to it, and now I'm taking like what I did and adding a little bit of Chris Booth's design with it, and I'm kind of getting more of a solid design behind them.
Nice. So I'm going to remove this cover and I'm going to put up one of the pages that you sent me. I asked you to send me two pages that were your favorite from this title. So we're gonna take this away. We're gonna add this first page, and I just want you to tell us what it is about this page that you like so much, and what we can portray from looking at this panel.
Oop, did it go?
There it goes, right
There you
there.
go. So yeah, that is actually a page that I did for Shadow Knight number one. This is very much trying to set the mood from the very beginning. It's raining. It's a little bright at the top because he's at the top of the building with the lights and everything. But I really like the mood that I captured for this. I actually did a drawing video on TikTok where I used a like cyberpunk type moody feel to the video, and it really matches with this picture. And that's what I kind of wanted to get. Like he's sitting on top of the edge of the building, and he's kind of scanning the streets and watching and seeing if he can find his prey. And he explains in the panel that it's hard to like find his prey through the hard rain and everything, even though he has like the visor and everything like that. So that's kind of like why I really liked how this page turned out.
Nice. I really really love seeing black and white work within comics and then throwing in little touches of color.
Hmm.
Because that just it draws you to that point, like, okay, well, why is his visor a different color?
Hmm.
Well, so um is there
And I did that on
any
purpose. I did that on purpose.
oh, of course you did, of
Yeah.
course. So with that being said, with his visor looking an orangish color there, is there any technology behind that visor?
Yeah, it has a bit of night vision behind it. I know night vision is usually green, but that's the color that you see from your side. He probably sees a different color from the other side. Um, that's why I kind of like wanted to give that like splash of color to like give you that sense of drawing you into that spot. And when you see more of the pages, you'll see there's a lot of dark panels that I did where he's like in shadow, but you only see the visor. So I wanted that to be like an indication of him being in the area. And because he's a ninja, I'm really going to try to focus on stealth, not just the action and everything with that people do with ninjas and everything. I really want to work on the stealth, and this issue is really going to really, you know, point that out.
Nice. Um, Going into what you just said about a lot of the pages and panels being dark. Um, this next one is your second favorite page out of this story. And we get a breakdown of 5 different panels. So uh, give us a little intake as to what we're seeing here.
So this part was done by Chris Booth. This was Chris Booth who did the art for this one. I love this panel because this page because there's a transition going on. He has the and you don't see it in this page, but he's holding the mask and the helmet in his hand, and so you see his face, you see the mask, and then you see him putting it on, and then you have these cyborg, androids walk through the door, and the lighting in that from the door's light to the shadow on the ground. It's just like this threatening, shot that you got there, and then he prepares his sword, and you got the lines, the action lines coming in to make that focus with him having a stance and everything. So I love the transition, and I wrote the script for this, and he nailed it. Like he nailed exactly how I wanted it to look, and that's what I really liked. What Chris Booth did in this page.
Nice. Anything else you want to add about Shadow Knight before we move on to Tooth and Nail?
Yeah, Shadow Knight 0 and 0.5 is available online digitally. I have very few physical copies. I usually do those at the cons. But Shadow Knight originally started off a digital exclusive. I decided to do physical ones and also had a statue made. I show it on here, but it looks really awesome. Um, and Shadow Knight #1, which will have physical copies, will be coming out next year. And I'm actually going to put 0 and 0.5 in that same book
Oh,
so
nice.
that you'll get 0, 0.5, and #1 all together. So that'll be next year.
Nice.
Thank
All right. Well, we're going to move on to your second child.
you.
And from what I heard earlier in this chat was that it's your favorite.
Yes.
So we're going to move on to Tooth and Nail.
Thank you.
So I loved this story.
Thank you.
Loved this story. And then you even sent me the origin story of one of the characters in this, and I picked up on who that character was from the get-go. And we talked about it in the last interview. And you're like, yeah, you're spot on. I'm like, yes, got it. Um, so yeah, tooth and nail. Break it down for us. Why is this your favorite child?
I would probably have to say is because it's the first one that I actually really put a lot into. Because Shadow Knight started off, and I did the 3 issues, and I didn't really do anything else after that. I always wanted to, but then when the in between time that I stopped doing it, Tooth and Nail kind of came into it came into existence. Um, I can give you a bit of origin where Tooth and Nail kind of came from. So Tooth and Nail came from the 4 cats that my mother-in-law owns. And noticed that the 4 cats had distinct personalities. So this kind of goes back to my love of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love Teenage Mutant Turtles. You have the 4 turtles that have distinct personalities. They clash, they get along, they have these relationships and everything. And so when I decided to create Tooth and Nail, I said, okay, I'm using Turtles for a inspiration, but I want to go in a different direction with it because, first of all, I think cats are better ninjas than turtles could ever be, because they're quieter and they're sneakier and everything like that. And also, I love cats. I'm a big cat fan. That's what we own, and everything. Um, so when I first started doing these characters, I wouldn't even say tooth and nail. I actually first did it as a comic strip, and I called it Those Cats. And these cats were just in the house trying to figure out, what's going on in the world, and they'll look outside because cats love to look outside, but sometimes they don't want to actually go out there. Some will do though, but and they would have like these funny discussions and stuff. And I was a big Peanuts fan of Charlie Brown and everything, so that was a big inspiration for the comic strip. So as I was working on that, I started saying, let me dress them up in like ninja and samurai gear and everything. So they were like these little they were regular cat size, but they were wearing like these, and it was cartoon versions of them, obviously. And they had like these ninja gear and samurai gear and everything. So I decided, like, I can do some more with this. So I started redesigning some more, and really studying a little bit of Japanese culture and everything, and kind of like implementing that in with the cats. And then I said, okay, well, let me do a 5-page drawing of this. So I did 5 pages, and it sat around for years, like for years, and I didn't do anything with it. And I think one time I pulled it out and I showed my cousin who was over one day. He's like, "Man, this is so awesome! You should really do something with this." And so I said, "Okay," you know. So I decided, I'm like, well, I don't want to go off the way I did it before because my style might be different and everything like that because it was so many years. So I redrew those 5 pages, which you'll see in the manga, and then it just blossomed from there, and it grew into just this big, huge world. And I'm influenced by Ninja Turtles, as I mentioned, and I'm influenced by Naruto. It was during a time when I was really getting heavy into Naruto, and I started implementing those ideas and those styles into what I wanted to the nail. And I didn't know if I wanted to go with regular American style or did I want to do manga style. Could I do manga style? I'd never really done it before, and so you'll notice maybe in the book that you'll see in the beginning, I was really trying to find where I wanted to go with, and then by the end of issue 6, I kind of figured it out, and it went from like really detailed to more simplified by the end. And now with issue 7, 8, and 9, and then Oni, it's like a mixture of a little bit more detail, but also simplified. So that's kind of like how that became. And it was just the reason why it's so special to me is because of that, because that relational build up that I had between building this world and building these characters, even more than I ever did with Shadow Knight.
So what was the how did the cats end up getting abilities?
So it's funny because when I originally started doing it, I was like, I'm not going to give him abilities because I don't want to be too much like Naruto. So I ended up doing it anyway because I was so influenced by Naruto and everything, and I didn't want to. Then I said, okay, I'm not going to have them like say, Shadow Clone Jutsu or something like that, and I still ended up doing something like that because it just fit. It just fit. So because cats have like sensory um, you know extra hearing, extra smell, taste, and all that stuff. I call it like sensory technique. So they pull from the environments that they're around or from the world that they are connected to and use those abilities through their techniques. So they'll say sensory, like a sapphire will say, wind sensory tech. But her sensory tech is mixed with like sakura leaves. So she'll say wind sensory tech, uh, wind sakura wind or something like that, or whatever. So I ended up doing that and bringing in like the elements as well, earth, fire, water, and all of that. So I couldn't help it. It just kind of like happened, and I love it now. I really like that they do have these abilities, because I think I had to go to that next level
Mhm.
with that because of what the influence was.
And pulling from the elements, it also brings another dynamic of, okay, so you were inspired by the Ninja Turtles and Naruto, but it's also pulling with that elemental factor of Avatar.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? Never watched Avatar. Never,
Oh.
never watched Avatar. I knew about it, but it's also a very Asian culture, part of what they do with
Mhm.
Chinese and Japanese culture and mythology. They use a lot of the elements and everything before any of this stuff. I mean, those are the core of why those things happen. So I felt like, okay, well, they use it because it's part of the Asian culture, so I'm using it because of the Asian culture. So it's not necessarily from Naruto, even though it was.
So, with that being said, let's get into your two favorite pages. You sent me two pages that are pretty busy, pretty busy. They got some stuff going on in them. This first one especially. So, give us a little bit of a breakdown of what we're seeing here and what's going on, and how this happened.
I don't want to give too much away. No spoilers. I would like people to read the books.
I tried. I tried.
But this is from issue 9. I have to remember sometimes because I got 10 issues now, so I got to remember where it's coming from. This is when Jade is in the forest fighting against a monkey clan. And she's never fought them before, because this is like the first time she's really ventured outside of her comfort zone from Neko Village. And so she runs into these monkeys and I call them something else, and I cannot remember what I call them. I try not to say monkey or cat or anything like that. I usually try to use a part of a scientific term or a Japanese term and everything, because I don't want it to use those things. But I cannot remember what I called them. But she runs into them. She's on a journey, and they kind of like say, "Why are you here?" And she's like, "I'm minding my business. Get out of my way. Let me through." And they don't. And so she gets into this fight with them. And so this is when I really started studying Bleach, not Naruto, this time around. Bleach. I noticed that Bleach's action is so freaking awesome. Not that Naruto's isn't, but I think Kishimoto, the guy who created Naruto, when he went to Shippuden, he kind of like lost a little bit of his art. Not as lost his artwork, but it changed. Like it made a big change that I wasn't too excited about. Like his stuff in the early Naruto stuff was really, you know, awesome. Not that the second stuff isn't awesome, but I think the first part was more. And so I was watching Bleach, and I was just looking at the action scenes, and I was like, okay, I got a couple of Bleach books. Let me start reading or looking. I already read them, but I just wanted to read, study them, and see how I can apply that to Tooth and Nail. And this is the result I got. This high action, high octane action scenes. And so I think this is one of the best examples of where I got a lot of from Bleach. The movement, the speed. And a lot of people look at what I've done with Tooth and Nail in general and say, man, the action that you do, the movement, like you can feel it moving off the page. And it was like, thank you. It's because I've studied manga that is really good at that. And not to say that American comics isn't, but it's a little different with manga because they over exaggerate it
Mm-hmm.
so much, but it's so freaking awesome the way they do it. And I wanted to make sure I implement that more into Tooth and Nail because I was going down the manga route. And at first, I didn't know for sure if I was, and then I just said, okay, I'm just gonna go all in, and this is the result of me going all in with it.
All right. So now we're going to go to the second page, and we've got a total of 7 panels here. And I'm going to be interested to see what you say about this one. So this is your second favorite page out of this series.
Yep.
What do we see here?
This is a very emotional page because this is for it's sort of a origin story of two characters in this, and the little black cat you see there is actually a character that shows up in Oni. And I think last time we were talking, I mentioned that, and that's why I wanted to check out Oni. um, and she also looks a little bit like one of the main cats in um, the regular books of Tooth and Nail named Destiny. But I wanted to give people a little bit of like a segue to think, oh, maybe that's the origin of Destiny, but it turns out it's another character. And so the emotion behind this is this young cat woman who's trying to find food, trying to find money to feed her child, and everybody's rejecting her because she's living in a part of the world that is not her own, and that part of the world is actually the part of Ugly the Duck, the Duck Warrior, because me and Shane plan to do a crossover. So I was like, well, Shane, can I start implementing in your world into the Tooth and Nail world? So I decided to do that, and she talks to some of the characters that he created. They reject her, and she runs off. And then this character, who is Alistair, one of the Rattle enemies of Tooth and Nail, pulls her in and takes her child away. And the scenes that I wanted to see her, kind of decide what is she going to do in this situation. She knows this guy is not great, um, but she's desperate, and so she says to her baby, see, I'm doing what I can to get you something to eat, to feed you, and she gets tricked. She gets tricked from this, and Alistair takes the baby, and you'll find out what happens to that baby in Oni. Because I don't want to give away too much. But I love this panel because I love this page because of that. I love the emotion that I led up to in this page.
So you just dropped that we're getting a potential crossover.
Yes.
How potential is that?
I told Shane I want him to get at least about 5 issues under his belt with Ugly, and because Tooth and Nail is so far ahead with number 10, I wanted him at least get about 5 issues in, establish his world as much as possible, and then we would start working on a crossover story. We've already been talking about it. We're trying to figure out how it's going to work out, and everything, and we've got a good plan coming along, and I'm not giving it away.
Dang it. Dang
Nice
it.
try.
Because
Nice
now I'm
try.
sitting here thinking, like, how in the world are we going to have a group of cats and an
Hey,
ugly duck?
Usagi Yojimbo Ninja Turtles have done it, so come on.
Okay.
It
All
can
right.
work.
You got me. You got me. It'll work. It'll
It's
work.
going to work. It's going to work. Because Ugly kind of takes place in another part of the world. It's kind of like, medieval England and medieval Japan. And these two are going to kind of come together in one, arc that we're going to do. And I don't want to give away too much. So there you go. Look forward
All
to
right.
that.
All right. It better make it in the newsletter.
Oh, I will. The thing is, when we're going to do it, that's the question. And so Shane's working on number 3 of Ugly. Tooth and Nail's already at 10. I'll be jumping back into Tooth and Nail next year. And so we'll probably like in between that time figure out where we want to go with Ugly and Tooth and Nail.
I'll have to reach out to him then. See if I can get him to give us a little bit more. Hey, Shane, what you got? What you got for me? Come on.
No man,
Come on, man.
no
Yours was the first book that Cory sent me, and I loved it. I loved it. I didn't question it at all. I
man.
didn't question the duck. Nothing.
Yeah.
Give me something, just a little bit.
Nope. I'm technically his boss when it comes to the comic book stuff, so I'm telling you, don't you
Oh,
dare.
oh. So I need to reach out to you to book something with him.
Yep. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
um, besides the crossover, is there anything else that you can tell us that we should look forward to with Tooth and Nail? You said it's already at 10 issues.
Yep.
Is there anything we can look forward to moving on? How long of a run do you think it'll go? How long do you think you're going to write it for?
Oh man, that's a great question. Act one is already in the manga form, the one that you showed, so that's already there. Act two is in progress. Issue 7 through 10 right now is part of our Act two. Act two is not done. Um, I have the ideas in my head. I know how far I want to go with it. Things might change down the road. You know, that's how sometimes it happens because I don't write anything down. I have it all up here and I just draw it all out. So the directions that I want to go with it. One of the things I did is that I did a lot of subplots at
Hmm.
some point. And I'm like, oh no, I just painted myself in the corner. So I got to figure out how all these subplots are going to all come together. So that's one of the things I have to look into before I start 11 is like, when is this subplot going to take place? When is this subplot going to take place? How are we going to like span that out? So I probably made it a little bit longer than I actually expected, but I wanted to implement new characters. I wanted to bring in, expand the world a little bit more. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how far it's going to go. As far as it takes to tell the full story, that's my only answer for you. Is as far as it tells to because I'm not going to just do it just to do it. I'm going to tell the story from beginning, middle, and end, and I'm going to make it as plausible and fun and cohesive as possible.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, I already mentioned this at the end of the last interview. You do have a convention coming up the end of this month that you're going to be at. It's going to be the St. Anne's Comic Convention at Staten Island, New York.
Yep.
It's going to be the 26th and 27th.
Yep.
So if you're watching this or you see this and you're going to be in Staten Island that weekend, definitely stop over there, see Cory, pick up his books, talk to him. You've been an absolute joy to
Thank
interview.
you. Thank you.
So I'm really looking forward to this crossover, though. I'm still hooked on this. Um,
I made a
so
mistake. I shouldn't have said anything about the crossover. I
hey,
surprised
I'm going to push the mess out of this potential crossover. You mentioned it, so it's free reign.
you. It's
So as
over.
long as you're going to see so many posts with ugly and tooth and nail, they're just going to be. It's just going to be just a still shot, just the two covers together. That's all
Hey,
you're going to
do it.
see.
Do it. Do it. It'll help me help us get more followers and subscribers. Hopefully,
Exposure. Yep.
more
Yep.
exposure. I was trying to think of the word. I couldn't think of it. But
So,
yeah,
but yeah, man, I'm really enjoying what you're doing. I really enjoyed these two books. I'm looking forward to reading more of what you are sending me to take and look at. Um, but yeah, man, you're doing a great job.
thank you.
Absolutely love it.
Thank you.
So yeah. Is there anything else you want to add? Any shout outs or anything before we shut this down?
Yeah, just a quick shout out to my wife, who's the editor. She's amazing. She edits a lot of our books and everything. A shout out to my team. You guys are amazing. They're creating great content. And the next big release is going to be the Ravens Macabre Omnibus, which is issues one, two, three, and a special story done by Matt Bradley at the end of that story. It's a 180-page book. It's going to be dropping around Halloween time. It's already ready at the printer. I just gotta have the money to print it. I'm working on that and everything, but it's an exciting time. And the artwork, the cover work, was done by a young lady that I found on Instagram who does some horror stuff, and she did the cover front and back pro bono, and I was really happy to have her do
Nice.
that. So yeah, it's an exciting 3 books that we put together. So this is a chance for everybody to have that collection.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you coming back on here, getting a chance to fix my mistake, my mess up.
It's all right. It's
I'll
all
own it.
right. Yeah. It's a
Um,
joy. It's a joy talking to
but
you.
yeah, but definitely thank you so much for coming back on here and talking about your stuff. And I wish you nothing but the best, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.